WL45 Aikhag, this is Coyote 673 Aiktak. We had pretty good weather. We saw the sun a couple times. Winds were down, so we were very productive.
The name Aiktak comes from the Unangan word Aikhag, meaning travel or going on a voyage. Exactly what is needed to spend a summer out here in the eastern Aleutians.
There goes the Tekla crew. There goes our ride. Now it's just me and Alana.
Just tremendous abundance of wildlife, really far flung, really hard to get to, and that's part of what makes the refuge still is in as good a shape as it is not been subject to a great deal of resource exploitation and human exploitation just because it's these cold, wet, far-flung, distant lands, so there's not a huge amount of human activity on them. And then, of course, they're surrounded by the riches of the ocean where these creatures are making their living.
Last we're going to see the Tekla for 2 months. This feet right here is leaving us.
One of the establishing reasons for the Alaska Maritime Refuge is to provide for trust resources we're responsible for and their habitat. One of those major trust resources are seabirds. So seabirds, the majority of seabirds in North America breed within Alaska, and within Alaska most of those are on the Alaska Maritime Refuge.
People often ask me why I sign myself up for these crazy adventures. Why do I want to spend the summer isolated on a small island that is more often than not cold, wet, and foggy?
It's super freaking windy and foggy.
For many, the lack of modern comforts and having to bathe in the cold Bering Sea, eat mostly canned foods, and spend the entire summer with just one other person is just not attractive, not to mention being out of communication with friends and family. Surviving on a deserted island days away from civilization takes more than just a good attitude. It takes a whole lot of preparation and forward thinking about your food, water, and basic needs that will keep you healthy and happy throughout the season. Luckily, Aiktak is equipped with the state-of-the-art Puffin Palace.
This is our humble abode. This here is our kitchen. That's our water filter. And then in the corner we have our field gear, first aid kits, and our tools. Sleeping quarters. Underneath there we got our batteries, and out there is our solar panels. That's our single sideband radio and our library. There you have it, the Puffin Palace.
Stuck in the middle of the Unimak shipping pass, Aiktak appears as a very small island in comparison to its neighbors. The closest island is Ugamak, which is only 1 kilometer away, but across the icy cold waters of the Bering Sea. Despite its small size, Aiktak's 155 hectares are home to more than 100,000 tufted puffins, horned puffins, storm petrels, ancient murrelets, glaucous wingulls, cormorants, mirrors, and black oyster catchers during the summer months. Not to mention the endangered Steller sea lions that lounge on its beaches the sea otters that play in the nearshore waters, and the harbor seals that birth their pups on the rocks surrounding the islands.
What really attracted me to this position, though, is the idea of long-term monitoring, which is basically what we're doing out here, is continuing long-term monitoring of seabird populations.
To find out what's happening with seabirds. It's one of our major resources, national and international significance as far as the numbers of seabirds that are here.
And the goal is to look at the big picture of how seabirds are doing across Alaska. And our monitoring data are basically there to alert us to either species or areas that are of concern for us that we need to learn more about. And then if we do detect a problem, then hopefully the next step would be to have a research study to learn a little bit more about what's going on.
Seabirds are indicators of what's happening in the marine environment. They're going out from a central location during the breeding season, foraging, and how well they do that year is indicative of what's happening in the marine environment. The marine environment is so large, it's very difficult to measure within this huge area. So the concept of a monitoring program for seabirds is that you use seabirds that are going out there and basically doing that sampling for you. And indirectly, through how well they're doing, you can find out what the health of the marine ecosystem is through that, and also answer specific questions about that.
Ilana is grubbing in a burrow because we're trying to figure out what species of storm petrel is using it.
Storm petrels, among other seabird species, spend a majority of their life at sea, coming to land only during the breeding season. It's these life history traits that make it difficult to gain information about them because they are often flung across the Pacific seas. But by monitoring the health of the adults and their chicks during their relatively short visits to land, we can get a better sense of what challenges they face when they're at sea. Changes in the health, numbers, or productivity of seabirds help scientists to identify changes in the greater marine ecosystem. Not only can we gain information about the birds themselves, but we can also gain some understanding about the fish communities and the waters from which they feed.
The reason that this is so important, basically, is that it's all tied into the marine ecosystem. And marine ecosystem is really important for not just things that live in the ocean or in the water, but things that live basically everywhere. Because if you think about it, we're all tied to the water in one way or another.
My most memorable moment on Aiktak was getting to see ancient murrelet chicks sledge firsthand. In the middle of the night, ancient murrelet chicks leave the safety of their burrows within just a couple of days of hatching to join their beckoning parents on the seas. The parents are able to entice their chicks out because they won't actually feed them while they are still in the burrow. The urge is so strong for these chicks that they'll climb over anything that gets in the way, including the leg of an astounded field biologist.
Tufted puffins are definitely the most numerous seabird that we have here on Aiktak, and bald eagles and common ravens and possibly glaucous winged gulls are the biggest predators here. So as these fledglings are learning to hunt, they're going to take the easiest things, and the easiest targets for them at this point are going to be puffins, which are numerous, ancient murrelets. They may also go for smaller birds like petrels, but more likely they're going for the larger birds. So here we got what appears to be the work of that young bald eagle I was just showing you, or possibly still his parents. It's weird, like most of the time I don't really feel that isolated, but every once in a while you look around when the fog is cleared and you do get that feeling of, wow, we really are on an island by ourselves, and it's actually a really awesome feeling to be like, wow, I can do this, I can survive, I'm empowered, and I'm ready to take on the next challenge in life. Yeah, if only we had a guard.
For me, the opportunity to live in such a beautiful place and work with amazing wildlife that most people will never get the chance to see, and some people don't even know exist, is intoxicating. It's this adventurous spirit that I share with all field biologists. There's always a new place to explore, a new species to know. The opportunities are just endless. It's this that propels us on year after year, field season after to seal season. The work we do on Aiktak gets repeated year after year so that we can understand and protect the myriad of seabirds and marine mammals that depend on these islands to fulfill their life cycles. But for me, this was more than just another job, but a personal journey to figure out what I'm capable of. I treasure the lessons I learn and the confidence I build by surviving outside of society. It has made me stronger, both physically and mentally. And these are things I take with me on my day-to-day challenges now. The chance to work with and get to know wildlife so intimately and call such amazing places home is what keeps me going back into the field, seeking new adventures year after year. I know that I'm not alone in this feeling. It is shared by field biologists all across the world. They're driven to explore and bring home new stories of their own awesome experiences each time.
The idea of feeling free, catching a fish out here and learning about the different plants and incorporating a lot of plants into our daily meals.
How about it's great.
Very empowering to know that I can still survive pretty well out here, and I think a lot of us put limitations on what we're able to do, but in the end, when you really have to survive, you kind of remember how to do it, and it's a great feeling.